are you guys?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Having a lovely time, aren't we, Peter?
Yeah, lovely day.
It's pretty warm, isn't it?
It is beautifully warm. I mean, I've been staying in the shade. My fair English skin tends to go bright red if I have too much sunshine. Not the same for Peter.
Anything that's not raining is good weather for us, though. If it's not raining, it's beautiful.
So, have you guys just arrived, or have you had the chance to see anything like?
We arrived last night quite late, so we went to a hotel in the centre of Lisbon. And no, we've not really seen anything apart from a beautiful drive from Lisbon out here through the lungs of your city.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous going across that gorge. And is it an aqueduct or a viaduct that you can see?
An aqueduct.
An aqueduct. Is it a really old one?
Yes, very old.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
18th century, I believe.
Oh, really? Yeah. So, apart from that little drive, we've just been chilling here backstage all day.
You've been here a handful of times, like if you have any recollections of Portugal.
I do. Me and Peter came here first just to do interviews, and we had a chance to go and look around the city, the old neighbourhood, etc. And really fell in love with the place. Yeah, and every time we come here since then, I always end up talking to the boys about wanting to live here for a little while.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do it this time.
You know what? Because what it seems to me, like, you would have something to do with us. You know, because it's not obvious. You know, it seems to me like Elbow is pretty complex, but disguised as almost simple, but it isn't. You know, and it's kind of like the same tone that Lisbon has, I guess.
Maybe that's why I feel like I connect with the place so much. I think I like the values of the place, and I like where it's come from, and I like the fact that you're kind of pretty left-wing most of the time. Politics, the same age as me, you know, since 1974. I think all of that appeals to me.
And even the right wing is pretty progressive, really.
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah, absolutely. For a European country, certainly.
So about the album, like Takeoff and Landing of Everything was recorded at the Peter Gabriel studio, Real World. So as a well-documented Peter Gabriel and Genesis fan, how was that experience? Must have been otherworldly, I guess.
It's a fascinating place. It's right in the most beautiful part of England, the rolling countryside.
What's the place?
It's near Bath. It's very southern. It's almost where Glastonbury is.
Yeah.
So what would you say? It's West Country, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's West Country.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The first time we ever recorded, when we first got signed, in maybe 98, 99, we signed to Island Records, and we went there and we recorded a first version of the first album, which got scrapped. But just from being out of the way in the countryside and being able to really concentrate on something, we took it away with us. And it's just that thing. We did a lot of recording in Salford as well, in our studio Blueprint, and because of families and, you know, children, wives and girlfriends, you have other commitments. So sometimes you need to go away for a week or 2 weeks where you can just absolutely completely concentrate, you know, for like a real long day. So it was great for that.
So considering you guys were isolated, is there anything going on about, like, is it just isolation and technical facilities, really? Or is there anything else, I mean?
You can make a world-class studio album in your bedroom now, very cheaply. So the point of going to a place like Real World is the shape of and the sound of the rooms, the purpose built. And this place is like a cathedral built to the making of music. You're isolated, you're in the countryside, you can work till whatever time you want, you know. The boys are away from their families, so they don't have those responsibilities to think about. And also someone else is cooking your meals for you, and you just feel ennobled as a musician. It really makes you go deeper and further with your work to have it held up like that.
So like the practical aspects of your life are taken away from you, and you're unable to be totally focused creatively.
Well, from our point of view, obviously the most important thing in all the lads' lives now are their children and their families. But for 2 weeks at a time, it's exactly what it felt like when the band was the most important thing, and that allows you to write with the same passion, I think.
I'm also a very big prog rock fan, and also a very big Genesis fan. I grew up on, indie rock, but not farther from that, I started listening to Genesis. So you guys have the Newborn song was based off Entangled on the Trick of the Tail.
Yeah.
So how did you get past those insane tunings that they use? Like Entangled is very complex, seems very, very, very simple, but it isn't.
Well, I wrote the first half of Newborn on the acoustic guitar, and I used to tune in a capo because I'm not a very skillful guitarist. So it was more about what I could do rather than what I wanted to do. And then the second half we all wrote it together as a band, but it was definitely inspired by Entangled. But right from the word go, even when we couldn't really play our instruments, we still tried to have really complex song structures. We had a song called Daddy, which in retrospect was a piece of shit. But it was a really complex piece of shit, especially for like the level of musicianship that was going on, which was really quite low.
Is that your supper's ready?
Yeah, if you like.
So is really Peter Gabriel one of your main guys?
More for me than the others, if I'm honest. I mean, the Soul record has reared its head again. Young people are getting back into Peter's work, which prompted him to re-release and tour the record. And actually, if you listen to the quality of the songwriting on that album, it's pretty extraordinary. It's like every single song on it is extraordinary.
I think, though, that just the way that those songs are written, you know, like we've taken that on board, and you know, like for starting a song somewhere and letting it go wherever it needs to go, and even if it means that it's going to be 8 minutes or something stupid, you know what I mean, we're kind of like let it breathe and let it go where it needs to go. So that's definitely something that we've always taken from Genesis and Peter Gabriel and those bands.
The song has the time it needs to exist, right?
A friend of mine, Manon McLaughlin, who's an unsung hero of music, he's an amazing songwriter who has never done it professionally for very long. He gave me some advice when I was very young. I asked his advice because I was so impressed with his songwriting, and I remember him saying, the song is all, you know, it doesn't matter what you've sounded like before, whether it fits with your other material, wherever the song takes you, you need to go. And that's great advice. The song is all, man.
With the new album, you've used strings and brass. Sometimes it kind of sounds King Crimson-y from the Islands period. Is that the new kick for you guys, using those sorts of things available?
Well, Flyboy Blue, the song that sounds most King Crimson-y, that was Mark, Peter, and Jupp getting together. They wrote all that first half. Well, they wrote all the music for that song. And yeah, King Crimson is definitely a big influence of ours. And when we realised putting saxophone on it, playing along, was going to give it that feel, it wasn't a question really. We wanted to follow that because it's something we all love.
Yeah, it's the riff, just the drums, bass, and guitar playing that riff was great, but it just added a different dimension to it, and almost kind of like making the horns lead the guitar as well. Kind of just took it away from where it could be a little bit more.
It's the sort of thing that keeps you going, I mean, for the current album.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know where we're going to land next, but I'm listening to, and Craig told me yesterday, he's listening to a lot of Afrobeats at the moment. And yeah, we're I think we might pursue some of that for the next album.